Well, it's been a while since I've done any video and kind of lost my interest in it there for a while. Google, in their infinite wisdom, being the smartest people on earth, decided that they needed a two-way verification to log into any Google accounts, which included my Gmail and YouTube. And since I don't have a cell phone, or don't have cell phone coverage here where I'm at, I couldn't get it on a cell phone. And I don't have a cell phone that's capable of doing that anyway to get me to activate it, but I don't, like I said, I don't have any cell phone coverage here. And so anyway, I was kind of locked out of my accounts for a while, and it turned out that it was okay because I was getting stuff done other than looking at my Gmail and YouTube stuff all the time. But anyway, I kind of got out of the habit of videoing. I kind of got out of the interest in doing it there for a while. But it's pouring down rain out there today, and I just didn't feel like working outside today. I've got stuff in here that I need to do in the shop. When I was working on everything else here in the shop, I was keeping a fire going in it every day to keep it dried out in here and keep a place warm to keep my clothes and stuff dried out. Well, my chimney got plugged up. It got to a point where my stove was smoking and wouldn't hardly burn anymore, and my chimney is plugged up. And that's just a consequence, a byproduct of burning that spruce that I've got. That spruce is nasty wood. It's lightweight. It doesn't have much BTUs in it, so it burns up pretty fast. But it's got a lot of creosote in it, and it builds up in the chimneys and plugs the chimneys up. And it also, the acids in it also cause the chimney pipes to rot out, to rust out. I started banging on the pipe and going to clean it out and stuff. And when I got to looking, noticing my pipes are not in great shape. They're getting pretty rusty. So I went and got some new pipe. The weather was good. I didn't have the fire going in here, and I was busy doing other things. I decided not to work on it. But now it's raining today, so I think I'll go ahead and work on it. So what that's going to entail is taking the old pipe off of there, and that's full of creosote and crap. So I've got the vacuum cleaner out here. I'm going to hold it up there and clean up all the junk. When I first built this shed, there was no walls there on that side, and the stove, I had it set up so it went right up, straight up through the roof. But when I put insulation in the walls and put the sheeting up on the walls and stuff back there, then that stove was too close to the wall and it got too hot, so I had to bring it out a ways. So what I've got there is a dog leg. It goes up, and then there's a 90-degree elbow, and then there's a T, and it goes up into the stove that way so it doesn't get too close to the wall. And you can see there behind that one junction, it's pretty black right there. Well, that's not because it's too close. That's because part of that chimney fell off one time there, and it got smoke on the wall. And that's a piece of cement board there, so it's not going to burn, and it's out away from the wall enough that it's got air circulation behind it. So it didn't get the wall hot or anything. It just smoked that up because the chimney fell down there at one time. So anyway, I've got to go take that all apart. I've got metal bestose pipe up going through the ceiling, and so I've got a new ring to go in that. That's been in there for 20 years, and I noticed it was starting to smoke out of it. And then we've got a heatilator, a stack robber in there. That one's pretty good. That one doesn't get too plugged up because it just got a fan in there. It got 3 holes going through it that it blows air through. But it does salvage a lot of heat from going up the chimney. So anyway, I've got new stuff for that. Got the vacuum cleaner here. I'll go ahead and start changing that out. Maybe I'll get a fire going in here again. Alright, my pipe's not near as bad as I thought it was going to be, but I'd already knocked out a bunch of it there when I was first looking at that. And what I do on that is I stick a T in there with a cap over the end of it so that I can take the cap off and let all the crap fall down out of there before it goes into this elbow. This time I got another T like this I'm going to stick on the top of that stack robber so I can take the cap off of it and kind of get in this way too, where that turns 90 degrees because junk fills up in that too. Now I got a new piece of pipe for this, but this piece of pipe isn't as bad as I thought it was. It's not rusted out. It's a little rusty on it, but it's not rusted out. I'm going to go ahead and get it back on there. So this piece right here that goes into the metal bestos has got a ring on it that's threaded that goes up in and threads into the metal bestos pipe, and then it's tapered as it comes down. Instead of being the full diameter, 6-inch diameter of the regular stovepipe, it tapers as it comes down so that piece can go up there and slide on it. Well, that piece is on. I'm going to go ahead and clean all the crap out of here while I've got it opened up back there and can get to it. Well, the soot back there that came out of that pipe was about 6 inches deep in a big pile there, so there was a lot of creosote, a lot of soot built up in that pipe. Like I said, I already cleaned it out once before and then just quit trying to because I was having trouble with the stove pipe, and the lower sections of the pipe are not good. So this is what I'm going to do here. I've got this section of pipe up there, and I'll put, alright, here's the T in there. Now this is the cap that I put on the bottom of that T, and that thing is, some of it's already spilled out of there as I was taking it off of the T, the existing T that was on there. And I'd had this off before and cleaned that pipe out, or banged that pipe and knocked it out. So I had 5 or 6 inches of ash down there, stuff down there on the floor. That's how much is left in it. And there's still crud in that T. So I'm going to reuse that cap, but it was full of water. It had a lot of water in it. I do get water coming down that chimney, and you can see where the stove got wet back here. So what I think I'm going to do is just drill a hole in the bottom in this cap so that the water will drain out of it. I have to find a drill, and just a little hole, just enough for the water to drain out of it. Okay, that worked. That'll stay on there now. Okay. Now what I want to do is put this T in that one. Okay. There we go. Might want to put a screw in those, I guess, just to hold them on there. I've got the stovepipe fitted up. I had to clean out this heatilator. It was pretty blocked up. This lower section of pipe was crudded up pretty bad. So I replaced it. I got one section, I think they're 24-inch long sections, and I cut it, well, what that is, about 16 inches, I guess, something like that. I cut that section off to put down here on the bottom, and then I cut another section that's about 6 inches to put here on the top. I got that T fitted up there. I've got this pipe all in. I didn't change that coupling up there or this pipe, but I got a new T in. I've got the cap fitted on there. So now that upper pipe, like I said, it's tapered so that, whoop, I have to get it loosened up now. I got it on there pretty tight. It's tapered so that this pipe slips on it and it'll slide down. So I'll stand this piece up. Now the only problem I've got is this ring on top of the stove is rotted out, rusted out, mostly. So ordinarily I'd have crimps on that with the stovepipe down in it, in the ring, but it's all rusted out, so I've got it uncrimped edge of that into over what's left of the ring. I'm going to have to get some cement or something and putty that up. There's a gap there in the back of it. I'm going to have to putty that up, but otherwise it's looking okay. I'll clean the stove out and find something to putty that hole up. And we should be ready for a new fire. Okay, that'll keep everything from falling apart. Hey, what are you doing?
Oh, just watching some YouTube. What are you doing?
Oh, well, I was fixing my stove. I was wondering if maybe you could run by the hardware store before you come out and grab a little can of stove cement.
Yeah, I can do that, no problem.
Okay, cool. Alright, see you later.
Alright, see you in a little bit.
Bye.
Bye.
So, next step is to clean out the stove. Got a lot of ash and stuff in it. So, I got a bucket and I got my vacuum cleaner here. I just take the vacuum and stick in here and kind of keep the dust and stuff from getting around too much. Oh, I still got wood in the stove. Could have started a fire. Ash bucket in here. There we go, a bucket full of ash and the stove's cleaned out. Now you ought to be damn good and sure that that fire is dead before you start using a vacuum cleaner in it like that. Because that thing can turn into a torch in a hurry, a blowtorch, a forge. Trust me, I know. That fire has been dead for about 2 weeks there, so there's no chance of any live coals in there. So anyway, I'll go dump the ashes out, get rid of those. Yesterday I worked on the stove there, cleaned it out, put new stovepipe on. And I took a stick and run up in there and cleaned as much of the carbon and soot and crap out of that chimney as I could. And I got a little fire going in the stove to check it out. Now there's a gap back there where the stovepipe goes into the stove. That ring back there is rusted out that the pipe goes into on the stove. I'm going to have to do something with that at some point in time. And then there's a few other little gaps and stuff in the pipe where the connections are on them. But those really shouldn't cause any problem if the pipe was drawing properly. I wound up getting it filled up with smoke in here with the fire going and it wasn't drawing like it should. So I guess I'm going to have to climb up on the roof and look at the chimney cap up there. It's probably plugged up too. And with all that creosote and stuff, it has a tendency to get plugged up, closed up so it doesn't draw properly. I don't really want to get up there on the roof too bad, but I didn't used to mind it, but it's getting harder and harder to do all the time. But anyway, it's not pouring down rain right now. It poured down rain all night and it's forecast to snow tonight, but it's dry right now, so I guess I better get it done now while it's dry. So, I do have a new chimney cap that I bought a few years ago over in one of the sheds someplace here, hidden away. I'm not going to take it up with me right now. I'm going to go up there and look at it first, because sometimes once I have an idea that something is bad, and then when I go and inspect it, it's not as bad as I thought it was. So anyway, I'm just going to get up there on the roof first and see what I can do to get that chimney to draw better. Well, I just went up there on the roof and checked it out up there, and as I suspected, that top portion of the chimney, the cap, was pretty well plugged up with creosote crap. I didn't take a stick with me. The one thing I didn't take up there with me was a stick to clean it out. But the chimney cap itself is pretty much rotted out. It's paper thin. So I'm going to have to put a new cap on there, otherwise the chimney will just fill up with rainwater, water. So I got a new chimney cap here. I bought this several years ago to change it out. This is actually a stainless steel one that's made for the metal Bestos pipe. So I'm going to go up there and cut that one off of there. I'm going to take a stick with me this time to clean that pipe out, and all the crud will drop down the pipe down here to my clean out spot down here. So that'll work fine. You got the new chimney cap on there. This is the old one. You can see it was pretty well. I got my life out of it, I guess. It's thin, paper thin here now. Not that it was very thick to begin with, but it's pretty well. You just about tear it by hand. This was all plugged up in here with creosote. So anyway, I got the new one on there, and I took a stick and run down through the upper portion of the pipe where I couldn't reach from down here, and knocked creosote out of there. Well, I can pull that cap off there now and clean that out, but I got my money's worth out of that. That was a cheap one. The one that's on there that I put on there is a regular metal Bestos stainless steel one. I think they're $80 or something like that. Pretty expensive. This one is $10 maybe. A little China cap. It had been on there for 10 years or more. So anyway, I guess I got my money's worth out of that. And what happens is, of course, that bent over on the sides from the snow being on it when there was no fire in it. Bends down over the opening, but this whole thing was just almost choked with creosote. So throw that in a recycle bin, I guess. Not much I can do with it. But alright, I got that cement smeared around in all the cracks and crevices and stuff in that chimney pipe. And, now I got to wait 24 hours for it to set up before we build a fire in there. Now the advantage of that is it's high temperature and it doesn't burn out like the silica does eventually. I've put the silicone pipe before, the silicone, high temperature and furnace cement, silicone and stuff. I put it on there before, and it worked fine right up to the point where it caught on fire. And eventually through the heat cycles and stuff it'll fail and catch on fire. Now the advantage of that stuff is that it is flexible and it'll stick real good around the area. The disadvantage of this furnace cement is that it is cement and it's brittle. Just the normal heat and cooling cycle of the metal, as it expands and shrinks, will expand and then shrink away from that stuff, and it'll flake out of there and come out. In the places where I got it down into the crevices and whatnot, it'll work better for longer. But it's not a panacea. It doesn't work very good for some of that stuff. But what'll happen is it'll seal those joints up until it gets a good coat of creosote, soot and stuff in there, which will then seal everything up. So hopefully that thing will work better. Tomorrow I'll start a fire in it and get it going, and hopefully it'll draw and we won't get any smoke in the shop here anymore. It's only been, 15 hours here now, 16 hours here now since I did that. And as damp and cold as it is here, that stuff would never cure anyway. So it was cured up about as much as it was going to. Well, anyway, I got a fire going in it. I just started a fire in it here. And boy, the fire drew right away. It started pulling smoke right away. I could have that door open right now and it would not smoke out of it like it did before. Oh, there's not a leak of smoke coming out of that stovepipe anywhere. It's all going right up. So anyway, that's working out pretty good. There's going to be a little bit of steam and stuff coming off of that furnace cement as it heats up and dries out. But the fire's going good now. It started up beautiful. I used a little bit of the red cedar, split it up into some kindling and a little bit of newspaper, and hit it with the fire, and boy, she took right off. That's the best it's started up in a long time. Hopefully we're good to go here now. The cold weather's supposed to start coming. I need to get the fire in here anyway to dry it out. It's just been damp here for the last week or so, and I haven't had a fire in here for a while, so I need to get things dried out in here again. I've got a little bit of work I need to do in here in the shop, so that'll get my tools dried out and get the shop dried out again. So I think I'm good to go on my stove.